Scanning for audio.
Welcome once again to a Tin Dog podcast. Now, you're probably aware of the two major bits of news this week. Obviously, the first and more actually important in the real world news was the death of John Hurt, which of course I've covered in my review of The Invisible Man. However, there was more news. As I record this, a matter of hours ago, Mr. Capaldi announced that he was off. Leaving. Vamoosing. Vanishing, giving up the role he'd always wanted in exchange for, work elsewhere. Spending more time with his family. Not having to make 13 episodes of Doctor Who a year. Or in the case of last year, not having to... It doesn't matter. You know all this already. The chances are, thanks to social media, you already know that he's gone. Now, I could idly and randomly speculate on who I should get the job. Well, my money, my actual request would be for a certain Mr. West, someone who appeared as, let's call it a fake Doctor, an alternative Doctor in The Diary of River Song, to be the new Doctor. Yes, I do think that the next Doctor will be male. Perhaps not the one after that. I do think that he'll be white, and let's face it, every single actor, with the exception of, well, Mr. Tennant, has blue eyes. Now, I'm not thinking that there should be some sort of Aryan argument. We've been down this road before. No, my argument is that, well, boys kind of need a role model to look up to. Someone that isn't just out for guns. Someone who uses their minds. Yes, I know there's very, very good arguments for female doctors, and you know what? I can live with Missy, and I'll live with whatever we're given. Because these people who make TV programmes are better than that. But let's face it, there's been a lot of earth-shattering stuff been happening of late. We might need something to ground us in what we know and believe. Something to keep us going. So, what I've done is, I've gathered together some of the things you might have missed. I know that quite a huge section of my listenership, and let's face it, just short of 1,500 downloads every day, that's quite a lot of you. Well, I've gathered together Capaldi's announcement on Joe Whiley and Toby Haydock's chat about it on BBC Breakfast TV, just in case you're not in the country or you may have missed it by being at work or being asleep or being out. So I'll let you listen to those and I'll let you decide for yourself who you want to be the next Doctor, because you stand as much chance as anyone else. Remember, don't bet on it. It's just very uncouth. So until next time, when I'm probably talking about something Doctor Who related, be seeing you.
Some of the treats, you have to give me some kind of an inkling of monsters, creatures, old adversaries that we might be.
There are a number of old adversaries. I would say it's largely new. There are largely new creatures.
This is a big deal, can I just say, because this is Stephen Moffat's grand finale, isn't it?
Yeah.
So is there a thread? Is there an impactful storyline?
Yes, there is. Yeah. It kind of develops. It's unexpected. So it's not. I think it kind of rolls along in a very vintage kind of way, in the sense that it's very full of explosions and adventures and all that sort of stuff, all the stuff that you love in Doctor Who. But there is, as ever, a kind of darker thing sort of moving that emerges towards the end.
Okay. And affairs of the heart, because the Doctor has tussles with his heart all the time. It's an emotional thread always.
Well, the emotional thread, there's a number of them. I suppose the big thing about it for me is that it'll be my last. It'll be
your last?
Yes.
You bow out after this series?
I will, yes.
Oh, really?
This will be the end for me.
Wow, how do you feel about that?
I feel sad. I love Doctor Who. It's a fantastic programme to work on, and it's been a huge pleasure to work with a family. Really, I mean, I can't praise the people I've worked with more highly. But I've always been somebody that did a lot of different things. I've never done one job for 3 years. This is the first time I've done this. And I feel it's sort of time for me to move on to different challenges. So you
still have to film your regeneration? Oh, so the geek is coming up now. So have you filmed your regeneration? Who do you...
No, I've gone to work tonight. How can I'm still there. I'm still Doctor Who for a long time.
This is such a big deal, Peter. How do you feel about it? God, passing it on to somebody else.
I feel sad. It's sad, but rather wonderful. What a privilege to have done this. It's an extraordinary position to be in. It's, but like everything, you have to be aware of when it's time to move on.
And when did you know? Had you signed up for this for a certain amount of time, or when did you make the decision to leave?
Well, they'd asked me to stay on.
So you were going to leave before?
No, my contract was running out. But then they asked me to stay, and I just thought, I love this, but I don't know how long I can do it and give it my best. And if I'm not giving it my best, I don't want to do it. So it's I want to move on to other challenges, but there will never be anything that's been more special to me.
That was James, and that was Nothing But Love, choice of Peter Capaldi.
Yes.
Tell me about that song.
Well, I did, and my wife and I have been married for 25 years. We've been together for 31 years, and this year we celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary, and I made a little film made up of old Super 8 movies from our past, including our wedding day. And I used that track as the soundtrack to it because I think it's a beautiful song, and it says so much.
It does.
About us and how lucky I am.
Yeah, your wife is smiling at us.
She's smiling. Yes, I'm very. I'm very, very lucky. She's a wonderful, wonderful person, and also she was never been into Doctor Who.
But was she not a member of the Doctor Who Appreciation Society?
We didn't meet through Doctor Who, and I don't think she'd ever really watched an episode before. I showed up in it, so she now is quite an expert on Doctor Who. But she's been fantastic through it all because it changes your life a lot, and I couldn't have done any of it without her. So thank you, and also Nothing But Love. That's what we get from the fans of the show and the people who are keen on it and who love it. It's a good thing in the world, I think. Yeah,
in a world like we have at the moment, it really is. So you've just announced that you will be leaving Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And when will be the final time that we see you?
I think Christmas 2017.
Right, that'll be told. The episode.
Yes.
So it'll be, right, so we have a year.
I'm still Doctor Who. I'm still Doctor. I've got a lot to do, and there's a lot of, we're doing epic stuff, and there's a lot of stuff to do. So it's, I'm not done yet.
It's going to be an emotional Christmas day. Good grief, there are going to be hearts broken all over the place.
Oh, yes.
That's going to be tough.
Yes, but what fun. That's the great thing about Doctor Who. It renews, it comes back. There'll be a new Doctor and a new children and a new version of the show, and that's wonderful.
Of course. And as you said, what a privilege to have had this
incredible
part in people's lives.
I mean, it's just astonishing, and you can't... I tell you, sometimes I walk into a room and people gasp, children gasp. And it's not because of me, I know that. It's because Doctor Who just walked in. That's an incredibly wonderful place to be on the other side of that. And also, I think people probably don't know about the BBC, the kindness that the BBC has shown to so many people, not just me.
Cosmic is how the actor Peter Capaldi has described his time as the Doctor. As he announced last night, he will no longer, at the end of this next series, be Doctor Who.
So what kind of Doctor was he? Who will follow him? So many questions. Comedian and Doctor Who fan Toby Haydock joins us now. Morning.
Morning.
Were you surprised?
No, because there's going to be a change of producer.
Right.
You sort of think, well, maybe a clean sweep. I really hoped we'd see a couple of years of Peter Capaldi with a different showrunner, just because the show changes identity with the person writing the scripts. And I've enjoyed him so much. I felt he'd got more to give, but I wasn't surprised.
What has he brought to the role? Because lots of people talk about the fact that in terms of the drama and the actual filling the position, he did it with real sort of authority, didn't he?
Yeah, he's mesmerising. He's got a great presence, but also he's the actor that was closest to age to William Hartnell, who was the first Doctor Who. When the Doctor Who started, the Doctor was this sort of wizened, anti-establishment old man. And with Matt Smith and David Tennant, who were both brilliant, it looked like it was going to be the stomping ground of a sort of zany young character actor. So it's good to have a show that's watched by a lot of children, where the leading man isn't necessarily young, because it's good to have an older role model, I think.
Doctor Who fans are particularly feel ownership, don't they?
Yes.
And maybe what's the reaction been? Because some. Perhaps I'd like him to be around for another couple of years too.
Being a Doctor Who fan is to have a life of being a perpetual state of disappointment, because it's about time travel. Doctor Who fans are always looking back and going, it was much better. What will happen is there'll be an episode on in March, and the Doctor Who fans go, I didn't particularly like it, and then the following March they'll go, I wish it was like that episode last March. There's a Doctor Who writer called Gareth Roberts, who's very funny, written some of the funniest episodes. But he said he coined the word antisappointment, because you're a Doctor Who fan, you look forward to Doctor Who so much, it can never quite be as good as you want it to be.
You say about the change.
I know that feeling.
The change of showrunner, or Stephen Moffat is the man behind it. He's leaving at the same time,
Yeah.
and then the guy who wrote Broadchurch is coming
Chris
in,
Chibnall.
who's written a few Doctor Who's
written some
before.
Doctor Who's and
So
Torchwood.
it's not like it's going to go off in a completely different direction.
No, and today's most quality people working in television today were inspired by Doctor Who as kids, and that's the great thing about the show, is it grabs you, when you're a youngster, and it inspires. There'll be a kid out there who's disappointed that Peter Capaldi is leaving, and he'll probably go upstairs and write his own story about why Peter Capaldi can never leave Doctor Who, and he might then find that he likes writing stories, and he'll be casting the Doctor in 20 years' time.
Do you want to hear some suggestions for what some of our breakfast viewers think who should take over? Nexus says Hayley Atwell or Eddie Redmayne as the new Doctor. Colin Salmon gets my vote, says an anonymous one. David Harewood. What if they go for a woman this time? Helena Bonham Carter or Gillian Anderson, perhaps. Doreen says Danny Dyer for Doctor Who. He would be brilliant.
I think having somebody unexpected would be quite fun. Capaldi, you need somebody, I think, who's got the gravitas of a great Shakespearean actor, but also somebody who's a gifted comedian, because somebody who's great at. Because Doctor Who's a sort of farce in which, if you trip over once too often, the universe ends. So you need somebody who can do the whole gamut.
Do you think they'll be looking for a sort of surprise again? Because they tended to do that, haven't they?
You can go two ways. You go, we'll get that well-known actor, and people will tune in to go, I want to see what that well-known actor will do with the part. Or you go, we'll get somebody that's an unknown quantity, and people will tune in out of curiosity to see who they are. I think they'll probably go for somebody younger, but I have no insight at all.
And of course, there's the whole, will they have a woman doctor?
Well, Doctor Who fans thrive on change, and the show is all about change, so of course we go, don't change it! But they've set a precedent. The Master's now a woman, a Time Lord regenerated, a white male Time Lord regenerated into a black female Time Lord. So there's a precedent for it in the show.
I love your new words. Well, not your new word, but antisappointment.
Antisappointment, Gareth Roberts. He gets the credit for that.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I'm sure there'll be many people having the same discussion we're having this morning about what direction Doctor Who will be taking.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
That was the Doctor Who Tin Dog podcast, available on iTunes, YouTube, Twitter, RSS, Vimeo, and across the internet. Doctor Who and its associated properties are all copyright and trademark of the BBC. No infringement is intended. Why not become a supporter by visiting patreon.com/tindog. Contact the show on tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk. The Tin Dog podcast is a founder member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance.